Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you a special bulletin from the WINRAD Broadcasting Service newsroom. We take you now to our chief correspondent.
Good evening, America. This is a night of grave consequence. For the fifth consecutive day, the armed forces of the United States and Israel are engaged in a wide-ranging military campaign against the nation of Iran. What began in the early morning hours of Saturday, the 28th of February, has grown into the most significant American military operation in the Middle East since the invasion of Iraq more than 2 decades ago. The combined operation, designated Operation Epic Fury by the United States and Operation Roaring Lion by Israel, commenced with coordinated strikes across several Iranian cities, including the capital of Tehran, as well as Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, and Kermanshah. According to reports from multiple news agencies, including the Associated Press and Reuters, the opening salvo targeted the compound of the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in the assault. His wife was later confirmed to have perished from injuries sustained in the same strike, according to Iranian state media. President Donald Trump addressed the nation by way of a recorded video statement released in the earliest hours of Saturday morning. The president stated that the purpose of the strikes was, in his words, to end what he described as decades of menacing activities by the Iranian regime. He cited Iran's support for proxy organizations, the killing of Iranian protesters by their own government, and the alleged pursuit of nuclear armaments as justification for the campaign.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to the situation on the ground as it stands this evening. The Israeli military has announced what it describes as its 10th wave of strikes against Tehran. Multiple news outlets, including Al Jazeera and the Associated Press, report massive explosions heard across the Iranian capital today, with the holy city of Qom and several other population centers also coming under bombardment. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency reports the death toll from 5 days of strikes has surpassed 1,045 souls. Iran, for its part, has not accepted these blows passively. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has launched retaliatory missile and drone strikes against Israel, with air raid sirens sounding today across the length and breadth of that nation, from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. Israel's emergency medical services report, however, that their defense systems have thus far intercepted the incoming threats, with no Israeli casualties reported from today's barrage. The IRGC has also announced the deployment of ground forces and naval operations targeting American warships in the region. In a development of considerable significance, the Pentagon today confirmed that a United States submarine fired a torpedo that sank an Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth described it as the first sinking of an enemy vessel by torpedo since the Second World War. 6 American service members have been killed thus far, with 18 wounded, according to official figures reported by Al Jazeera and other outlets. And now, a matter of profound humanitarian concern. Reports from Iranian state media describe a devastating strike on a girls' elementary school in the southeastern city of Minab, in which over 160 students and 14 teachers were reportedly killed. Israel has denied responsibility for this attack. The United States Central Command has confirmed it is investigating. The Washington Post and the New York Times have verified footage from the immediate aftermath. Thousands of mourners gathered for the burial of the young victims. Whatever the full truth of this matter, it has become a focal point of grief and outrage within Iran and across the world.
The reverberations of this conflict extend far beyond the battlefield, my friends. The Strait of Hormuz, that narrow but vital waterway through which 1/5 of the world's oil supply must pass, has been effectively shut down. The Revolutionary Guard has claimed complete control of the strait as of today, and shipping traffic has ground to a near halt. Oil prices, which stood at approximately $73 per barrel before hostilities commenced, have surged sharply, with Brent crude reaching above $83, and analysts from Goldman Sachs and Barclays warning that prices could climb beyond $100 should the disruption persist. European natural gas prices have spiked some 30%, and Qatar has been forced to cease production of liquefied natural gas at its principal facilities following attacks on Qatari infrastructure. Airline traffic across the Middle East remains largely suspended, with Emirates, Qatar Airways, and other carriers halting operations. The State Department has urged all American citizens to depart the Middle East immediately. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that some 9,000 Americans have already been evacuated, with more than 1,500 additional citizens requesting assistance. Turkey reports that a ballistic missile fired from Iran was intercepted by NATO air defense systems over the eastern Mediterranean. And Kuwait's military says it is contending with a wave of missiles and drones in its own airspace. Russia has issued a warning that Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant is under threat, with explosions reported just kilometers from its perimeter. And on Capitol Hill, a momentous debate is underway. The United States Senate is expected to vote today on a bipartisan war powers resolution, sponsored by Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia and co-sponsored by Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, that would require congressional authorization before any further military action against Iran. Senator Kaine has argued that the campaign represents an unauthorized and unconstitutional war. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has countered that the president acted within his authority, consistent with the actions of prior administrations. House Speaker Mike Johnson has stated his confidence that the resolution will be defeated. A CBS News poll indicates that a majority of Americans disapprove of the war, with roughly half believing it could stretch on for months or even years. President Trump, for his part, has estimated the campaign will last 4 to 5 weeks.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves in the 5th day of what is fast becoming a conflict of considerable scale and uncertain duration. The cities of Iran shudder under bombardment. American service members are in harm's way. The global economy feels the tremors. And the elected representatives of the American people prepare to cast their votes on the most consequential question a legislature can face, the question of war and peace. We shall continue to bring you developments as they occur. This has been a special bulletin from the WINRAD Broadcasting Service. Stay close to your radio.